Okay, so I am previewing this GoPro through my phone, and I've got all the pups on the ground, like we just left them all put together in a big puppy pile, doggy pile, sleeping nap time. I'm sure some of them are going to get up and wander away as I go through this pick video, but I will just round them up as it's their turn to come for an up-close shot. So kind of bear with me there. Okay, so I'm just going to start at the top of the list. We're going to do girls first, all of the girls between Fern and Maple. Then we'll do all of the boys between Fern and Maple. So first on our list is Miss Gray. So Gray Dot puppy. This is Fern's Miss Gray. At birth, she was 1.01 pounds. I should say we didn't weigh them right at birth, but the earliest weight we had of them, which was all done on the same day, I want to say they were 3 days old. Anyways, she was 1.01 pounds. Today, she is 6.74 pounds. So she is by far the biggest girl out of all of the girls. Just happens to be the first one on the list. And so a normal size pup for their age is about 1 pound per week. And so she is 6.74 pounds and the largest out of the girls. So we noted at birth that she had a very small dot marking on her neck. That is barely present right now. If you can see that, there's a few light hairs, and on her chest it's still clear. And then we noted that she had some frosted back left and back right toes. If you can just see, they're very, very lightly marked toes. So she has a clear chest and a very faint marking on her neck in the collar line area. That may be visible at her with her adult coat, but it's not going to be very noticeable because it's right underneath where her collar area is going to be. So besides a few frosted toes, she might just look like a clear pup. So Miss Gray, personality wise, she is what we call a middle of the road pup. She's not, and I have to start off with a personality explanation. I'll just hold Miss Gray for that part. Personalities are actually very, very close. There are some differences between them, but oftentimes the differences are very subtle and you have to really be looking for them. So with a breeding program like ours, we get pretty consistent pups. So we don't have this huge range in personalities. They're pretty close together, but there are some differences. So we want to share those differences, but don't take those differences as like drastic differences between one pup from another. But Miss Gray is what we would consider a middle of the road pup. She's not the bottom of the totem pole, but she's not the top as far as the hierarchy goes. And then energy levels, middle of the road. Confidence levels, middle of the road, all those types of things. So, Miss Gray, thank you for being our guinea pig to start us out, and thank you for letting me wake you up from your nap. I'm going to go on to the next one. We've got Purple Dot coming up next. So, this is Fern's Purple Dot. At birth, her birth earliest weight we had was 0.74 pounds, and today she is 5.62 pounds. So average size, actually a little above average for a female. At this age, she's right there on target with what we'd expect. But she is the smallest female of Fern's litter. So she had a very slight neck marking as well. If I can tilt her neck up, it's actually hardly noticeable right now with this coat condition. So at this age, I got to back up and talk about coats, puppy coats as well. At birth, their puppy coats are the most distinct, and then as they grow up, they go through kind of this toddler coat that their coat is very thin. I shouldn't say thin, but it's very short, and then their underside has very little hair to it. So a lot of their markings are very faint at this age, but their adult coat has that longer, coarser hair that will start to come in over the next several months. So kind of pay attention to those birth announcement videos, because those videos have the more distinct puppy coats, and so there's a lot to do there. Oh, I'm getting kisses from Miss Purple. Yes, you are a lover, aren't you? That is something that we've noticed with Miss Purple. She loves and loves and loves. So I was talking about the neck marking on her chest. She had kind of that double dot marking. It's somewhat visible now. If you can see that right here and here, that's still present with her toddler coat. She did have a slightly marked groin area, if I can kind of get her to cooperate for that. It's not very visible, but there are a few hairs that are lighter. So I am seeing some toe marks. So these markings may not have been super apparent with her puppy coat, but I am seeing some lighter frosted hairs right around her toenails on her back left and back right foot. So she'll have some very lightly frosted toes, if you can see that. So that is Miss Purple. So she is middle of the road pup when it comes to personalities, not the top of the hierarchy, not the bottom, and not timid or apprehensive or things like that. And she is a lover. She loves to give kisses, don't you? So next we've got Pink Dot coming up. So this is Miss Pink Dot at birth. She was the smallest girl, and she was 0.59 pounds. So over time, she's actually overtaken the lead on sizes. So she's moved her way up. She's not the smallest anymore. She's 5.86 pounds now. So she's ahead of Purple by a little bit. Gained some ground that way. She had her marked chest. That's kind of a large pronounced marking, kind of the shape of a T right here. And her neck was clear. So her, she had slightly marked groin area, some lighter hairs there. And then her front left foot had some marked toes. I'm not seeing any on her front right, but her back left and back right toes were heavily marked. So this princess in pink has her Cinderella slippers, don't you? And personality-wise, she's also kind of a middle-of-the-road pup. Not the top of the pack, not the bottom either. So not apprehensive, good energy levels and everything that way. Next, we've got Teal Dot. So we've got Fern's Miss Teal Dot, and we noted at birth she was 0.88 pounds, and she is still a large pup at 6.52 pounds. Oh, kisses. Yes. You're a lover too, aren't you? She loves her people. She loves attention. She is a lover. It doesn't surprise me at all that she's looking for my face and looking for kisses. Oh, yes. So she was a clear pup at birth. I'm not noticing anything apparent different from that. I'm looking at toes, still clear. No new parent light hairs. I wouldn't suspect anything new on her chest or neck area. And on her groin, there may be a few white hairs that I'm seeing. I don't know that they would even be discernible on the camera. If you can pick them out, your eyes are better than mine, on a camera anyways. So she is what I would consider at this point a clear pup as far as markings go. And so personality wise, Miss Teal is actually kind of leader of the pack. Her personality is such that she is the most confident out of all of the pups. So she's kind of top of the hierarchy when it comes to confidence levels. She's very adventurous, and very confident. I don't know if you noticed, some of the pups are more apt to be climbing up onto like the bucket, things like that. That takes a fair amount of guts for the pups to want to climb up there and then hop back down. They will all figure that out. They will all be doing that eventually, but Teal was the first, and she just is adventurous. So she could potentially do really well with agility or some of those types of competitions with her confidence levels. Not that whoever gets her has to do that, but she has a natural inclination for adventure and some of those types of things. Sorry, I've got a four-wheeler coming up our road behind me here, so we'll see if they want to stop and talk. But just the neighbors from down the road saying hello. So sorry about that. So that is all of Fern's girls. Next we'll move on to Maple's girls. So at the top of that list we've got Maple's white. We'll see if I can reach her without stepping on a puppy. I've got to move. So Maple's white at birth was 1.1 pounds, and so they are a week younger than Fern's. They're going to be lighter as far as weight goes overall, comparative, but they're all still on track for this age range. So she is 4.71 pounds as of today. We noted at birth that she had a slight neck marking, which is still apparent across there, across the collar area. She had the dot chest mark that is still pronounced and apparent here. She also had a slight groin marking. Honestly, I can't hardly see that at this point. And then she has, I believe her front paws are still clear, and her back paw is still heavily marked, so she has her Cinderella slippers. And every time I see her with this white collar, I just want to call this girl Pearl. This girl just needs a pearl necklace to go along with her white collar color and these princess slipper feet. I just think she needs pearls. Whoever gets this girl, either name her Pearl or give her a set of pearls. That would just make my day. Anyways, that's just me. So I'm kind of funny that way. But that is Maple's white. Next we have Maple's gray. And I can reach her without standing up. So Maple's Miss Gray at birth was 1.12 pounds. I need to back up. Maple's white is kind of a middle of the road pup. She is a little more assertive than average, but she's not the top of the hierarchy either. So she's near the top, but not quite the top. She likes to throw her weight around, even though she's not the biggest. She's got some spice to her, is kind of what I'm getting at. But Miss Gray here, back onto Miss Gray. She was 1.12 pounds at birth, and today she's 5.26 pounds. At birth, we noted that Miss Gray had a dot on her forehead. So I am having a hard time discerning that with this toddler coat. If I hold the rolls of her skin just right, I can probably get a hint of it there. I will be very curious to see if when her adult coat comes in, if that very light dot manifests itself. I just don't know on that. It's very rare that I see pups with dots on their head. I have seen them. Honestly, this is maybe the first in our lines that we've seen the dot, and so I've seen them in other lines, so I don't know quite what to expect on whether that will manifest on the adult coat or not. So it's yet to be seen on that. So she had the very slight neck marking, and I can see the hint of that. She had the more pronounced marking on the right side of her chest, and then I believe she's clear on her toes. Let me double check and see if I see anything today that I couldn't see before. Honestly, some of these markings you can only see in different light. There's kind of a sheen to their coat, and sometimes you can only see some of these markings with the right light hitting the coat colors. So that is Maple's Miss Gray. She is a middle of the road pup as well. Just as sweet as can be. Next we're on to Maple's Yellow. So Maple's Yellow pup, at her weigh-in early on was 1.05 pounds, and today she's 4.43 pounds. So not quite the smallest of the females, but close. She's second to smallest. Not a runt. She's still average size, but just slightly low on the average side. So she had the neck marking, which is still noticeable, still distinct there, if you can see that under the collar area. She had the dot on her chest, and that is still apparent. And I'm just looking at toes, and I'm actually, if I tip her foot down, I can see a few light hairs on a back left toe. So she might have a few frosted tips of her toes that come through. Right now, I don't know if you can see this, there's a little dot on her snout. That's kind of a puppy pimple. It's kind of a phase that the pups go through. Some of them will get a little bit of a puppy pimple. No big deal. It's not a white marking. It's just kind of a bump in their coat that kind of goes away. We see that every once in a while. Sometimes it's around their eyes or around their whiskers. Sometimes it's, just different various places on their head and whatnot. So that is Maple's Yellow. And Maple's Yellow is a little bit more reserved of this litter and out of the females in general, just slightly less confident. She's not like what I would say problematic, anxious type levels. She's a little bit more cautious when she enters a new space. So we've got a few of Maple's pups that are still figuring out life, and they're just a little bit more cautious and reserved. And Miss Yellow happens to be one of those at this age, at this time. So just as sweet as can be as well. Next we have Maple's Light Pink. So this is Maple's light pink, and she was 1.05 pounds. Right now she's 5.07 pounds. And we noted that she had a dot on her chest, which is still distinct at this time. I'm not seeing anything new, difference on her neck. She had very slight groin marking. Honestly, I cannot see it at this time, but she does have the heavily marked back frosted toes as well. So she has those Cinderella slippers like some of these siblings. So you'll be watching those sneakers as they run with the wind as they get bigger. Miss Light Pink, she is one of the more reserved pups as well. So basically we've got light pink, light blue coming up, and yellow. They're a little bit more reserved pups. They're still figuring out life. They're not anxious, but they're cautious. So I wouldn't be surprised as we take these adventures with them and things like that, that their confidence level just catches right back up with the other pups. That's very normal. But at this time, we're just telling you what we notice in their overall dispositions as of right now. So light pink is a little bit more reserved. If I had to pick one pup that was at the bottom of the totem pole, it would be light pink at this moment in time. But she can still be spicy. But when we take all things into account, she is kind of at the low side of on the totem pole with personalities. So just a pretty princess in light pink. So next we've got light blue. If I can find her, she has crawled underneath somebody and I can't see her color. Oh, there she is. She's way underneath my chair. I gotta reach out in front and back. Okay. Oh, don't want to bump you. Okay, we've got Miss Light Blue here. So she was 1.03 pounds at birth, and as of now, she's 5.29 pounds. And out of all of Maple's pups, Light Blue is the bigger one of the pups by just a little bit. Gray and light blue here in that 5.2, high 5.2 range for weight. They're so close together. Honestly, it's who had the most kibble last at lunch. And so light blue just happens to be ahead by just a little bit on, oh look, she's just gonna sleep right in my hands. So we did note that she had the small dot on her chest, and it is very, very faint right now with this kind of toddler coat that's a little bit thinner. But if I hold the fur just right, I can see it. So she has clear front toes. I'm going to check her neck again. I'm not seeing anything new on her neck. And then the heavily marked back toes as well. So she's got her Princess Cinderella slippers as well. So light blue is one of the more reserved ones, like I mentioned earlier. So next we've got Maple's dark pink coming up. And she is right at my toes. She was touching my shoes. I get to be the bad guy and wake all you guys up from your naps, huh? So dark pink was the largest of the girls at birth at 1.16 pounds. Right now she's 5.15, so on the bigger side of average for the females, but not the biggest at the moment. We noted she had a very slight neck marking at birth. That is still there, so I can see that. I don't know if you can, but that's still there. So dark pink had also a very slight chest mark, and that is still apparent. So her front toes are clear. Right now, I am getting a hint of some frosted toes on her back right toe. So that's new, that we did not note at birth. That's more apparent now than it was earlier. So Miss Dark Pink is kind of a middle of the road pup. A little bit higher up in the hierarchy, but not the top. But she is a middle of the road personality. So Dark Blue is next. So this is Miss Dark Blue. So at birth, she was 0.92 pounds. She was the smallest of Maple's girls at birth, and is right there at the moment, I believe, at the small one. So she's 4.38 pounds. I'm just looking through the list, making sure I didn't miss anybody on my weights. Yeah, she's the smallest out of the girls. So not a runt. We expect pups to be at this age between 4 and 5 pounds. So she's in the average range, but the smallest out of the bunch at the moment. So Dark Blue is a little bit more, a little bit lower on the totem pole personality wise, and she has the slight chest marking that is still distinct at this time. She had nothing on the neck that we noted at birth, and I don't see anything now. I'm checking some toes up front. Those are still clear. Her back toes still have the heavy left and right frosted toe tips. So she has the Cinderella slippers like a lot of her siblings do. We had a lot of that come through with this litter and the genetics this time. We also noted that she may have had a little dot on her forehead at birth. I don't really see the dot hairs right now. Mrs. Blue's coat color, she has a little bit of variation in her overall coat. I'm going to use her paws as an example. She has some light sections and then some darker sections on her coat. We see a little bit of that from a side profile. There's some lighter areas and some darker ones. So I don't know if her forehead marking, that very slight dot, will come back or not. But we will kind of take note of that later on. So she's not an overall dark pup or an overall light pup. She has just a little bit of a mix of both in her coat. So that is Dark Blue. Middle of the road pup. She is at the smallest on the side of things, but also not necessarily the lowest on the totem pole. So she's got some good fun personality still with her, even though she's the smallest. And last but not least, for the girls, we've got Maple's Purple. I've got to go get her. She's actually up walking around. Oh, she's making her way over. Is she going to make it all the way? Come here, Purple. Come here. She's distracted. I'll go get her. Okay, the pups have had a long enough nap. I mean, we're going on 30 minutes for just the girls. They're starting to wake up and walk around again. So we'll see how the boys do for the next part of this video. They might be a little more wired just because they had, you know, a reset button with their nap. We'll see how it goes. But this is Maple's Purple. In the previous videos, she had a dark purple. We had this lighter purple ribbon color that I found, and I decided to use it because it would just be a little bit easier to distinguish between her and Fern's purple dot in the videos as they're playing. I decided to use that more lavender purple this time around, so don't let that throw you off. I wanted to make explicit mention of that. So purple was 0.97 pounds, and right now she's 4.69 pounds. So a little bit smaller as far as overall size goes than some of the other girls. She had a very slight neck marking that we noted on her puppy coat. And if I hold that coat just right, I can still see that. Barely there. And then she's clear on her chest, clear on her front toes. And as I look at the back toes, I do not see any new apparent markings there. I did note that she had some light hairs around her groin area on her newborn video. I can't really see that right now though. So that wraps up the pick video for, personality wise. So Maple's purple, she's a middle of the road pup as well. Not the top of the totem pole, but not as cautious or conservative as some of the other girl pups. So middle of the road pup for Maple's purple. So that wraps up the girls on this selection video. I'm going to now move on to the boys. And so I'll probably actually break this into 2 videos and do the boy video completely separate. So I'm going to pause the video here and move on to that part.